6 that corporal punishment in schools in England and Wales, state schools, well, it was banned under the Children's Act then. And the following year, it was banned in state schools in Scotland, and also publicly funded pupils at independent schools. Well, it was also ruled that they too couldn't receive corporal punishment. Independent schools opted out of that. They were always allowed to administer corporal punishment. But come the 1st of September, under a new government law, that right will be thrown away completely. But 20 church schools across the country are going to the European Court of Human Rights to say that they want to retain the right to use corporal punishment if necessary. The man spearheading that campaign is Philip Williamson, who's the headmaster here at the Christian Fellowship School in Edge Hill in Liverpool. Good morning, Mr. Williamson.
Good morning.
Aren't you 15 years behind the times? Everyone else banned the corporal punishment in the mid-1980s.
Well, we believe in banning corporal discipline, that you've actually thrown out something that has been foundational in this country and a part of a Judeo-Christian practice for millennia. And we think that somebody should sit down hard and long and look at the consequences of it.
Now, what forms of corporal punishment do you use in this school?
Things that would be moderate and reasonable, things that parents would employ in their home. For the younger children, it would be a smack on the hand or a smack on the leg. If they were to break some moral code, the object obviously being to instill a moral code into the children so that they will grow up with that firmly in place and then go into society and become responsible citizens.
But aren't you teaching them then that violence is acceptable? Because one of the things that you punish for is fighting. So you're saying you were wrong to fight, but I'm going to smack you. Yes,
I think that there's a difference between violence and moderate discipline and correction of children. And that's the point that we make, really. We believe that the law should protect the abuse of children, and we're all in favour of the law coming down heavily on anybody who perpetrates such things. But for the correction of children, we believe the corporal discipline plays a part, and we want the parents to retain the right to use that in the context of our school.
Briefly, do you think you have a chance of winning your case in the European Court?
Well, we'll take it as far as we can go.
Thanks very much. Now, joining us here this morning are some parents with their children who come to this school. There's Alex Garden here and his daughter Anna, and Roger Whiting with Becky and Ben. Alex, if I can start with you, why do you send your child to this school knowing that corporal punishment exists here?
I find that the discipline in this school is fair and it's constructive and it's consistent. If children do something wrong, the consequences of their actions are explained to them. There is a punishment for the action, but then it's constructive in looking at how to change and how to go on in the future and not repeat the same mistake. Now, I remember when I was at school, it tended to be you got lashed with the tongue and ridiculed in front of your classmates and so on. And I always felt that that was more destructive than constructive and left more scarring, really.
Very briefly, if I turn to Becky, you're doing O-levels this year. Do you think it's wrong that there's corporal punishment in this school, or do you think it's the right thing?
No, I agree with it, because I think it's right that children know from an early age what's right and what's wrong, and what they can get away with and what they can't.
Thanks very much. I wish we could talk to you all this morning. We simply don't have time. But the case will go to the European Court of Human Rights, but the law that introduces this should be introduced in September, so you can see that the 20 schools that are taking their case are really working on a very tight timescale indeed.
All right, Alan, thank you very much for that at the school there in Liverpool. And we're not going away from that story. We're going back to it in about 15 minutes' time when we hear from one expert who says that corporal punishment under any circumstances in schools is totally unacceptable. And in the meantime, why don't ring in? I'm sure you've got a view. Call us with your views.
I'm sure you have, especially if you can remember it yourself, like Ross and I can, being belted and slippered and all sorts of things. OK, the time now is 27 minutes past.
So does that mean that public opinion would agree with it in schools?
Well, I don't think public opinion would agree with it in schools. I think it's very clear that that is not the case. After all, corporal punishment in schools has been, for most schools, apart from a few private schools, has been banned for a good 10, 15 years. So parents are well used to not having corporal punishment in schools. But I think the main issue is how we regard children. And what I and others want to see is children being treated equally under the law as adults.
So you're saying that we're not allowed to smack each other in any way? There's no birching for adults, so
no.
Why allow it for children? Yeah. Philip Williamson, who's the head teacher of the Christian Fellowship School there in Liverpool. Philip, you heard that. I mean, the point Jim's making there is, you know, we don't have birching, we're not allowed to smack adults. Why should we be allowed to smack children?
Well, the issue is that children do need to be given very clear guidelines in their upbringing. Now, we really employ two guiding principles: love and discipline. We want the children to know that we care for them, form really good relationships with them, have a nice friendly atmosphere in the school, but we also want them to have very clear boundaries and guidelines as to acceptable and unacceptable behavior. If they step over the line of unacceptability, they realize that they may be disciplined, and that discipline may be corporal discipline if it's required.
Philip, can I ask you, what kind of discipline, there's a cane here and a strap here, what kind of corporal discipline are you using in your school?
Well, we would use a smack on the hand for the younger children, a smack on the leg, things that parents would do in their home. For the older children, if it's necessary, and it is really a deterrent to the children. The children accept it as that, and our practice, which really not very many children come in for this. It would be, we would strap the girls on the hand. This is the older girls by a lady teacher.